America is a large and diverse country. It covers approximately 3.8 million square miles. It's the third most populous nation on the planet, with approximately 320 million people. Over 40 languages and dialects are used regularly. There's 6 time zones for 50 states, covering 7 major geographic regions. America has 11 climates and the world's most complex and largest economy. If California was a country, it would be the 8th largest economy on the planet, ahead of Russia, India, Italy, Canada, and Australia. Approximately 50 million children attend public schools that prepare them to be contributing and responsible members of a diverse and democratic society. In a country this diverse, how could it be that in 45 states, there's now only one national standardized curriculum in mathematics and English language arts? Only one pathway to college and careers? Furthermore, how could bureaucrats in over 40 states think it's a good idea to administer one national standardized test, all without scientific evidence to support the effectiveness of their plans? It's disturbing. Bureaucrats and some business elites are in the process of attempting to standardize and homogenize almost 50 million public school children in a country of vast diversity through a network of policymaking enforced with corporately controlled standardized tests. This is problematic for at least 2 reasons. First, loss of local control. And also, the quality of the results from these standardized tests aren't what you think they might be. As a taxpayer, I want to have the opportunity to participate in my public schools. But those opportunities are being erased by a system of centralized curriculum and testing. National testing is going to hasten the loss of democratic decision-making in local schools. Standardized testing is already being used in many states to impede citizens' democratic influence from the public schools. For example, education bureaucrats in many states instituted teacher and administrator evaluation systems that link employment and salaries to the results from national standardized tests. Also, student promotion is going to be tied to results in some states, like Ohio. And in other states, if students' parents opt them out of the national standardized testing, the students will have to attend some dead-end summer school program or be retained in grade, even if the students passed all their coursework during the school year. So now, in states with those types of policies, regardless if teachers, community members, and administrators know that things like the Common Core state standards and national testing are dataless initiatives, they'll be almost powerless to stop the standardized train wreck for fear of losing their jobs or harming their children. Parents, students, and educators are being forced to comply with a broken system that has no evidence to support it. Professional judgment, local expertise, scientific evidence, moral responsibility, and ethical behavior have been subjugated at the altar of centralization and standardization, brought on by an ever-expanding relationship between America's growing corporate education complex and policymakers. Although all of this has been sold to the American people as a state-led initiative, it's really de facto national standardization of the public school population via political pandering and state and federal incentive policies tied together by testing companies. Given our country's culture and long history of local control, this policy-making trend of using standardized testing to drive compliance with policies that centralize education is alarming. Now, we have democracy's incubator, the locally controlled public school, set to become something for the history books in at least 45 states. And for what? The quality of this newly imposed corporatized and centralized system is not better than a diverse network of free, locally controlled public schools. Sometimes I get the feeling as if some of these captains of business who are selling us these standardized assessments are tired of their boardrooms and want to play school. To them I would say, stay out of the public sandbox. The results from these national tests won't tell us about student creativity, innovation, strategizing, problem solving, compassion, empathy, cooperation skills, cultural literacy, persistence and resilience, or any of the other traits that transcend subject matter and time and make productive, cognitively nimble, and civically responsible adults. But national testing and straitjacketed curriculum will rob millions of students of their childhoods as they spend hours upon hours engulfed in test prep and stressed out about not being promoted to the next grade or being defined as a test score. As a nation, we're moving in the wrong direction. We should be spending time and money on finding ways to capitalize on our strengths that go beyond subject matter, time, and international boundaries. The U.S. is one of the world leaders in things like creativity and innovation. For example, the U.S. ranks second in the world on the Global Creativity Index. Sweden was first. The U.S. was fifth in the world on the Global Innovation Index. Switzerland was number one. Neither Sweden nor Switzerland swim in our economic shark tank. China was 35th in the world in terms of innovation. The U.S. is fourth in the world in terms of quality of human resources to support entrepreneurial activities, according to the Global Entrepreneurship and Development Index. In addition, the United States is ranked first in the world for entrepreneurial aspirations. We rank sixth in terms of turning those aspirations into reality. New Zealand was first. Keep in mind that New Zealand has a population of only 4 million people. In the U.S., we call that Los Angeles. China's near the bottom of the world rankings in entrepreneurial aspirations and turning those aspirations into reality. Considering that the United States had over 121,000 innovation patents in 2012, and the rest of the world combined had only around 132,000, it would seem to me as if our non-nationally standardized, creative and innovative public education system was doing well all these years. Why kill that creativity by imposing a Chinese testing and standardization system? For the record, China had only around 4,700 innovation patents last year, many of which were a result of technology transfers that our multinational companies gave them so those companies can do business in China. Our large corporations are giving away our competitive advantage. The Chinese aren't out educating us. They're outwitting us with policies aimed at capitalizing on corporate greed. How is a national testing system going to solve that problem? So I have to ask, how is having children bubble in answers or regurgitate information in the form of an essay going to build entrepreneurial attitudes or skills? How is a focus on conformity going to spur creativity? How will the results of these tests tell us important information about teaching and learning? They won't. That's because the results from standardized tests can be predicted with a high level of accuracy, in part by student and community demographic factors, factors that schools don't control. In fact, community demographic factors account for between 40 to 60% of the results on a statewide standardized test. The new national test will be no different. Like it or not, poverty, life experience, and the conditions in which a child grows up matter. And they matter greatly in terms of the results on standardized tests. To state otherwise is like saying the sun revolves around the earth. That's pre-Enlightenment thinking. To make policy based on that thinking is professionally and ethically reckless. Poverty aside for a moment, even the logic of using one national standardized test based on one narrow, decontextualized corporate curriculum to make important decisions about a child is fatally flawed. I think it borders on institutional abuse. For test results to be diagnostic at the individual student level, the tests need to include at least 25 questions per skill. So for example, if you were testing inferential comprehension, there would need to be 25 questions just on inferential comprehension. So to test even 5 skills intensely, you would need 125 questions on one of these national tests. That's just for 5 skills. The corporate testing companies respond by saying, well, just test them more often. That way the test can be shorter. But who does testing more often benefit? The child or the company? The national test will include only a few questions per skill, most likely between 4 and 8. Would you make an important, potentially life-altering decision about a student's ability to understand complex information based on the results from 4 questions? The results from one test should never trump the insights of parents and teachers who spend every day and over 1,000 hours a year with the child. It's just bad policy and dangerous practice. Where's the evidence that a centralized system of education is better than local control? Where's the evidence that national standardized tests are going to improve the education experience for all students? Show me the data. It seems as if scientific evidence has been cast aside in favor of some ideological ideas from a small group of oligarchs and bureaucrats who are all too willing to take public money and peddle the standardized education reform potion. So what should we do? Let's capitalize on diversity by reestablishing local control of curriculum, assessment, and teaching. Provide our children the rich, diverse curricula with multiple pathways to success that they need to become cognitively nimble and responsible citizens. Allow parents to collaborate with school personnel to decide which curricular offerings and paths students pursue. If your community wants to set standards, set them at appropriate cognitive developmental levels and don't make them one-size-fits-all. Use standardized tests as just one data point and not the deciding factor for any important decisions about children or educators. The results from those tests just can't be trusted. Provide support for districts to develop locally the high-quality problem-based, project-based, and scenario-based curricula and assessments they need. Invest in an approach to assessment in which multiple quantitative and qualitative methods are used to paint a vibrant picture of a student in terms of his or her unique academic, civic, and social skills. That kind of assessment can't be standardized. It has to be customized locally based on practices supported by scientific evidence. Use things like interviews, teacher-made assessments, interest surveys, attitude surveys, teacher observation of collaboration, cooperation, and strategizing, in-depth narrative descriptions of students' strengths and passions, unique talents and challenges. Things that are easily quantified and measured by corporate testing generally aren't the intangible skills we need to drive creativity and innovation. Let's not spend too much time and money on those things. We should focus on providing opportunities to develop children to their fullest potential and stop wasting time, money, and children's futures on trying to compare them to some mythical prototype in another country or trying to make every child the same. Let's reject standardization and national testing and move forward democratically, creatively, innovatively, and locally.